Hi, how are you guys? Welcome to this course again. In this lesson, we will talk about the port forwarding, which is a very important lesson, I think, in any hacking course or ethical hacking course or whatever. So, let's just explain it and let's go through examples like we do usually. So, let's suppose that this is the hacker's machine. This right here is a hacker's machine. This hacker's machine is, of course, in a network, in his local area network, in his LAN, which is, for example, this is the LAN of the hacker's machine. This local area network contains also other devices, like, for example, here the hacker's smartphone, and here the hacker's tablet, and here the PC or the desktop of the hackers. So, or this the desktop of the hacker. So, those are just randomly machines. Maybe one of the hacker's family is connected to his router. So this is the local area network, like we said. And this right here, let's suppose that it is the victim's machine. Let's write in here V to understand what we are talking about. V, and this is H, which means the victim and the hacker. Using the reverse hacking method that we have talked about before, we are opening a backdoor here in the victim's machine, which allows the hacker's machine to get data from the victim's machine. So, data are getting from this backdoor here into, of course, to the hacker's system in here. So, in the reverse hacking method, we will pass through two important things, which are the firewall of the local area network, if you are using a router, for example, and the firewall of the hacker machine. So, in this lesson, we will talk specifically about the journey of the data that came from the victim's machine to the hacker machine. So, let's just name it data. This is the data journey. So, when the data came from here, how could she know that from all the PCs on the world, because we are talking about external hacking in here, from all the PCs on the world and all the networks, how can she came to the hackers, specifically to the hackers machine? Because it comes there because it follows very important things. When she came in here from here, so it have the IP address of the hacker and the port. So the data is came in with this IP address. Let's say, for example, 41.111. This is randomly IP address, and the port, for example, is let's say 4444, for example. So when the data came from here, it has these two elements in here, if we can say. So it takes this way in here in this network using the IP address, and when she came to this network, the router will allow her to go through this port, which is 4444. Then she came to this IP address. How can she came to this IP address? Because in here, in this firewall, there are some important things too. The data that came to the firewall using this specific port, the firewall of the router will redirect her to this hacker's IP address. Hacker IP address. For example, let's say this is the IP address, for example, of the hackers. So it is a very important thing to have the hacker's IP address. In Linux, you can just simply use this command right here. I think we have talked about it before. Config. So this is the internal IP address. So the data will pass through this firewall, and this firewall is allowing her to get through this IP address, and to this IP address. And when she came to this IP address in here, which is the hacker's machine, the hacker must open its port. So he will allow her to get through the same port, of course, which is 444, to the machine. Then through the machine it will go to the tool you used to hack. So in this, the very important thing, I guess, is this firewall right here. So let's just talk about it. So firewall right here have very important things, which are that the name. Those are the basic information that you have to use to open any port in the router's firewall. The name of the protocol, let's say. I will just use a random name. For example, port 1. So this is the name, and the IP address, which is the IP address of the hacker's machine, like we said before, which is the IP address that the data will be redirected to, which is like, I will type mine in here. So config let's just type it. So this is the IP address, and the port, like we said before, the port is the same port, 444, and the protocol, just allow both of them, the UDP and the TCP protocol. So to open port or to port forward any data came to this firewall right here, you will need this information. The name of the port, just name it what you want. The IP address that will be redirected to, which is the hacker's IP address. The port of the hacking tool, of course, or the port that the data is going through, and the protocol TCP IP. Just allow both of them, both of TCP and UDP. So, and in this port right here, I will explain it just to get, because it's a familiar problem that beginner hackers have, which is they don't receive any data from the victim, because their firewalls basically are blocking anything that came to them. Just install the firewall and get apt-get install ufw install UFW. Sorry, we forgot the sudo. I have already installed it. Just you install it, its basic installation, then sudo pt get install graphical firewall interface. So I have already installed it. If you don't have this firewall in your computer or in your hacking system, I'm using Linux like I said before in here, which is Backbox. I installed it before, so that's it. Just open it, enter your password, and this is the interface. Just if the state you in here is on, and whenever was this is green or red, just don't think about that a lot and disable it and make the state you off. Like that, you have disabled the firewall and you are allowing the data comes from the victim to get into your hacking tool or into your system. So let's close this, and in the firewall of the router, like I said before, you need to have this four important informations, like I said before also, which are the name, the IP address, the port, and the UDP TCP protocols, which are, like I said before, allow both of them. So I think it's very clear. I will talk about a very important thing, which is this IP address right here. Let's say right here, which is the internal IP address of the hacker's machine. If you are connected using this IP address, for example, this IP address won't be the same IP address, maybe won't be the same IP address next time you connected to your router, because the DHCP is giving IP addresses first, then second, then the third one which connected, which means the IP address of the hacker here the IP address of the hackers is finishing with 1. Next time, maybe when the hacker connects with his mobile phone, the mobile phone will get 1, and the hacker's machine, which contains the hacker's tool, will get the IP address which finishes with 2. And when you are opening ports in the router, in the firewall's router, using the IP address 1, next time when the IP address is 2, the IP address in here won't change, because of course you didn't change it. So what you have to do is you have to fix your IP address. Just what you need to fix it is just going to the Wi-Fi or edit connection. Get to the Wi-Fi that you are connecting to and click edit. This is not the same for all the operation systems. Just change this DHCP and make it manual. Click add IP address, type an IP address, which is in my case 3043. If you are using a router, just keep the same number in here. These 3 numbers, keep them and change only this last one, and make it as far as it's possible, make it 24, because if you are connected, because if you choose, for example, the 2, like let's say we choose 2 in here. If we choose 2 and we have connected before with the smartphone which has 2 also in his last number, means that we are giving two IP addresses, the same IP address to two machines, which won't work, of course. So just to avoid that problem, make this last number as big as it gets. How big it was, it will be. So just type, for example, 27. It depends on how many people are usually connected to your network. If you don't have a lot of people, you can just type 7 or 6. I will type my IP address in here. I will check it. Yes, 101. So the first who connects will have the 101, because I know that I'm the first one who connects to this network. I will make it big, so I will make it 120. In this net mask, just type 24 or type 255, 255, 255, 0. And the gateway, type your gateway, which is maybe in your case, it's usually finishing in here with 1, 1 or 0, 1 if you are using a router. I'm using a mobile hotspot, so my mobile hotspot is giving me 43, 100. So just like that, and click close. And you have fixed your internal IP address, and use this IP address that you have typed. Like in my case, I typed 120 to open the port, or to port forwarding in the firewall in here. Don't use the IP address that EFConfig gives to you. It will change, of course. If I connect it secondly to this network and I type ifconfig, I'll have this IP address that I have changed, and I will use always this IP address in my hacking operations. So this is a very important step to do, because like I said before, most of beginners are having this problem because the firewall is not allowing data to come through the port, and maybe the IP address is the problem, which changes every time you connect to the router. So, like that, I think we have fixed all the problems. Opening ports in the firewall, I won't show you how to open ports in the router's firewall, because it depends on the router, and there is a big difference maybe in some routers. So I won't just explain that, because like I said before, not all the routers are the same, and the method to open a port in D-Link router is not the same on maybe highway routers or any other router. So you have to port forward into your firewall's router. Just type in YouTube or in Google, you will get how to open ports using the IP that we have changed in here, and disable the firewall like we disable it in here. I will do that again. Disable it. Just disable that password that shows it's only the super user's password, the sudo password. Just disable it and you won't have that problem. So the other way to port forward from the hacker's machine is not a common way, which I don't use it, because it's not a free way. It's using the VPN, because VPN is opening all the ports of your system or of your machine. You can use a VPN to port forward any port you want. I'm not advising or recommending this method, because like I said before, it's not free, and the free VPN, maybe it will change every time. So the most common way and the way that I like is by opening ports and port forwarding the router and disabling the firewall of the hacker machine. So that's the basic and the common way. So I think we have done from this lesson. I hope you understand it, and I hope it will works. And I don't hope, I know it will works with all of you guys. Just be sure to open the ports in your firewall router, and I know it will work. So see you in next lesson, guys, and peace.